Now, as I mentioned earlier, we've got the sampling process. Just as we have the whole audit process with planning and eventually ending in our opinion, our results. Let's talk through this. First, you want to determine the population. Okay, what are we doing? Are we sampling? Let's talk about cash transactions. Nice and simple. We've got a bank reconciliation. We've got bank statements. We've got cash entries in the general ledger. Here we go. We've got a bunch of cash transactions. So that's the population. It's all these cash transactions. We want to make sure they're accurate. That's the whole point of what we're doing. Next, we want to define the audit objectives. What's our objective? We want to make sure that those cash transactions are representative of the population. We want to make sure that the cash account is accurately stated. Now, the sample size, very important here. We are trying to understand, and this goes hand in hand with the sampling method as well. We want to understand, and we'll go through sampling methods. There are various methods. There are some statistical, non-statistical, like I mentioned before, using judgment, also not using judgment, using strict calculations. We want to understand how many items in the sample or how many items in the population that we're testing, and then how are we doing it? Are we doing it completely random, or are we going to select and separate out different items within that population? Those are different sampling methods. I'll give you the names for them as we see them and go through them later in detail. Next, we've got determine the sampling unit. So here, what are we going to test? Is it going to be the dollar amounts? Is it going to be the dates? What are we sampling? Again, just refining what we are actually doing here. Next, determine the sampling interval. This is going to be like, let's say it's 1/1 year 2 to 12/31 year 2. What's the interval, or is it just 1 month we're sampling? In what case, in what situation are we sampling these items? Then you actually do the sample. And then you finally select the sample in accordance with the sampling method and sampling unit. That's going to be critically important. This is the actual process where you do it. And then next, before you communicate your findings of the sample, you want to evaluate them. First, did you make a mistake in the sampling process? None of us are perfect, unfortunately, so maybe you made an error. If you did, rerun the sample. You also want to assess, okay, before you just go communicate the findings, are there potential errors, omissions? Is the sample showing something really bad? Because then maybe you want to go and do another test to make sure, to verify what you found before you go to the end people, whether it's the auditee, the management, other parties. You want to make sure that what you've got is accurate. Whereas to the best of your ability, as a low-level staff accountant, maybe you're not too sure, right? And then you take it to the senior and they bring it to the manager. And that is how the audit process works. And the sampling process, let's keep rolling forward. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.